Welcome everybody back to the channel as we now look and preview the weekend coming up with a bumper amount of football as the Football League finally returns. But before we do anything, hit that like button to support us and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you do not miss out on further football videos. That like button is powerful and it enables you to bring luck to your club this weekend. So this is how it's going to be. This is our preview, looking ahead to the games this weekend. You've had our predictions on the leagues, and now we're going to give you some stats to try and help you with your accas for this forthcoming weekend. And we'll look in depth at one game in every single division. So let's get straight to it. Let's get to that Premier League. Who's playing who on the first weekend of this magical season? So here's the fixtures then. Crystal Palace are at home to Southampton, a club who have won each of their last three visits to Selhurst Park. It finished 2-0 to Southampton in this fixture last season. West Ham United are going up against Newcastle United. Newcastle bolstering their squad this week. Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser in from Bournemouth. Very good signings there. And Lewis Guining in, the left back from Norwich City. Their squad is starting to take shape, that's for sure. And Steve Bruce knows what he wants in this transfer window. This fixture last season finished 3-2 to Newcastle United. Liverpool, the champions, the defending champions of the Premier League, host the champions of the Championship, Leeds United at Anfield. Liverpool are 8 games unbeaten against Leeds United. You have to go back to 2001 last time Leeds United beat Liverpool. But, you know, Norwich gave a good account of themselves last season, didn't they, in the first game of the Premier League? They didn't look like a team that was going to eventually slip through the trapdoor bottom of the league, that's for sure. West Bromwich Albion, newly promoted, host Leicester City, who will be hoping to make a bit more of a fist for it come the end of the season if the Champions League places are available. Leicester have won their last 4 visits to the Hawthorns, who have been buoyed by the arrival of the return, actually, of Robinson and Diangana from West Ham United. Last visit for Leicester in this stadium was a 4-1 win. Tottenham, well, they host Everton, and Tottenham are on a 13-game unbeaten streak against the Toffees. The last Everton win was back in 2012, and you have to go back all the way to 2008, the last time they ever won at Tottenham. Obviously, that was at the old White Hart Lane. They've definitely bolstered their squad this weekend, Everton. James comes in from Real Madrid to try and link up for Ancelotti to find that form yet again for his self-righteousness, and Everton will definitely hope he's back to the player he once was. And Doucouré, a massive signing from Watford. 1-0 to Tottenham in this fixture last season. Brighton host Chelsea, and if anyone bet on Chelsea to win the league this year, I certainly wouldn't disregard it. Havertz adding to an already array of quality players brought in this summer from Frank Lampard, but the pressure is now on Frank. The owner's not scared of who he sacks, and a slow start from Chelsea, he could find himself in a bit of danger for Lampard, but you can't see it. I think his attacking threat, he's bolstered a little bit up at the back as well, so Chelsea are going to be a real force this season. They play a Brighton and Hove Albion side who have never beaten Chelsea in the top flight. 5 out of the 6 games they've played against each other have resulted in a win for Chelsea. The only game that wasn't was the last time this fixture happened in Brighton, a 1-1 draw last season. In fact, Brighton have never beaten Chelsea in the league. Their only win has come in 1933 in the FA Cup. Chelsea red hot favourites for this, as this is one of 2 Monday night games. The other one takes us to Bramall Lane, and Sheffield United adding 4 players this week so far. Burke has come in, and there's also been defensive reinforcements in. Bogle and Lowe have come in from Derby County, and Ethan Ampadu in on loan from Chelsea, a star in the making. He's been made out to be, and he had a very good season in Leipzig, although in and out of the side. History, it tells you it's quite an even call between Sheffield United and Wolves. Last season it was 1-0 to the Blades, and Wolves, will they include their new man, the youngster Fabio Silva? £35 million are spent on him. You feel like he'd probably need a little bit of time to bed in before we see him starting in the gold colours. An even game, but a very interesting one to round up Monday Night Football. But the game we're going to look at is going to be the one that kicks off the Premier League this season. It's going to be newly promoted Fulham against Arsenal, and Mikel Arteta will be certainly trying to hope that Arsenal can finish higher up in the table than they did last year. Pretty dismal season for the Gunners. History will tell you in these last 6 meetings, Arsenal have won 5 of them, drawing obviously the other. The last Fulham win, you'd have to go back to January 2012 when a last-minute Bobby Zamora goal beat Arsenal 2-1. However, a bit of positive and something to clutch on for Fulham. In Arsenal's 6 games against the promoted sides last season, only 2 wins, and none of them were away from home. And away form for Arsenal is certainly something Arteta will want to build on this season. 4 last season for a club of the stature of Arsenal is pretty poor. Fulham ended last season 7 games unbeaten in the league, if you include the playoffs. Only 1 defeat in their last 10 matches, and Scott Parker will be hoping he can add that to the start of this year as well. Their threat obviously is Mitrovic, and he knows all about the Premier League, and he definitely knows how to score goals. Will Arsenal include a couple of players to try and stop him? Will we see Guerrero at the back and Saliba, who comes in to the squad this year after his loan spell last year? Arsenal red hot favourites for this, but Fulham won't give him an easy ride. Nketiah with his hat-trick for the under-21s last week. Saka looking like he's really on hot form as well at the moment. You'd fancy Arsenal, but it's the start of the season. Anything happens in the first weekend. So that's the Premier League. Where's the Championship, I hear you ask? Well, here we go. The Championship is very hard to gauge in the Carabao Cup in midweek. A few clubs crashed out, but there's big international changes needed to be made from some sides with the international break at the same time of the start of that competition. So it didn't give a true reflection, certainly, of a few teams. Anyway, getting to the fixtures, we kick off on Friday night. Watford host Middlesbrough. In a game that, not a lot of goals between these two teams in the last few meetings. You've got a 0-0, a couple of 1-0s, very low scoring. However, Watford, with all the Premiership quality in their squad, and a Warnock side that won't be scared about going here and going out to attack them, we could see a bit of a decent match. Middlesbrough kicked off the Carabao Cup last week, certainly for the weekend that just gone, with a big scoring game against Shrewsbury. Will we get the same? Who knows? Birmingham City host Brentford at 12:30. That finished 1-1 last season, when the last time they met. Birmingham having a bit of the better of it in the last 4 games. Unbeaten, 3 draws though in that run. Relegated Bournemouth host Blackburn Rovers, hoping to get off to a good start. Blackburn 3-2 Bournemouth last time these two sides met, in pretty even form. Looking at the head-to-heads from the last few years of playing each other. So, all to play for that. Bournemouth will go into it favourites, but I think Blackburn, like we did in the prediction video, will have a good season this year. Bristol City versus Coventry now. 66 times these two teams have met, and the record reads 22, 22, 22. So something's got to give in this game. Last time they met, it was a 0-0 draw. Bristol City getting the better of Coventry in the previous game above that. But yes, very even, especially between these two. So it'd be very hard to call. Coventry just come up, so maybe that pride and that momentum might give Coventry something over on this weekend. Cardiff City, they host Sheffield Wednesday. Cardiff will look to bounce back from a 3-0 defeat to Northampton in the Carabao Cup. In December 2019 was Sheffield Wednesday's first defeat to Cardiff in 9. Well, they've only won 2 of them, but Sheffield Wednesday pretty decent form against Cardiff City. Wednesday will certainly be hoping for 3 points, seeing as they start the season on -12. Derby, they are up against Reading. Got the better of Reading last time they met. Derby won 2-1. Reverse last time they played above that, Reading with a 3-0 win. Derby done the double over Reading the season before, so Derby certainly have more of the form going into this game. Will we see Rooney back? Who knows? Barnsley, they host Luton Town. 1-1 last time between these two sides who were fancied for the drop last year, both surviving. Both you'd probably feel will probably be nearer the bottom than the top this season, but going very strong in pre-season, and a good start to the season for Luton Town with their win over Norwich last weekend in the Carabao Cup. Millwall, they host Stoke. Not a lot of goals between these two. In fact, the last 5 games they've played has all been under 2.5. 2 of the last 3 games have been 0-0, but Millwall will be hoping for a tight but fair 3 points as they host Stoke at the Den. Huddersfield, well, they go up against recently relegated Norwich City, and Huddersfield will certainly be hoping for a better start to this year than they did last season when they were the team that came down from the Premier League. Last time they met in 16-17, Norwich City did the double over Huddersfield, but they've only met actually 4 times at this level. So very interesting to see the result of this. Norwich certainly favourites going into it. Preston North End host Swansea. And you look at it, and Preston have not beaten Swansea in the last 4 attempts. So Preston will have it all to do. And Swansea is definitely fancied to be quite strong this season, even with the embarrassing defeat against their Welsh neighbours Newport last weekend. QPR, they host Nottingham Forest. Won this game, Forest, 32 times versus QPR 17. So Forest certainly are the better team when these two meet. In fact, the last 3 times Forest have played QPR have failed to score. 0-0 last time they met, but before that, Nottingham Forest thumped QPR 4-0. Our focus and in-depth look in the Championship fixture this weekend will be another one of those 12:30 games on Saturday, as newly promoted Wycombe Wanderers hosted the other newly promoted side, Rotherham United. In the early kick-off, and Wycombe Wanderers, what a journey they've been on. Ainsworth is one of the managers of the season last year for me. The budget he's got against some of them sides that are still in League One next year makes it a very, very good job indeed. Personally speaking, I don't think Wycombe may well have even got into the playoffs. Who cares about that at this point, though? Wycombe are a Championship side, and that is fact. Points per game ratio meant they did qualify for the playoffs, and you can't deny the fact that in the semi-finals they certainly well beat a very good Fleetwood side. Bit of luck went their way in Oxford, but I always feel like the luck doesn't really go that way in the result. Oxford didn't take their chances. Wycombe did with the chance they had. They're in the Championship. They host Rotherham, and to be fair, their record against Rotherham is pretty tidy. 17 games these two have played against each other. Wycombe have only lost 4 times to the Millers. Last Rotherham win came in 2001. Wycombe won this fixture 1-0 last season. Only played each other once due to the COVID break. But Wycombe did win that. Lost to penalties last weekend. Wycombe to Brentford. New signing Horgan scored, the ex-Hibernian player. And he's played at this level with Preston before, so they'll be hoping he can certainly get a few more goals next year. And they played that game with 10 men for most of the second half against Brentford, and still managed to take them to penalties. However early the season is, it's a pretty good stance. Rotherham, they lost to penalties as well, but they lost to League 2 Salford. Before the points per game ratio, another side, Rotherham, would you have fancied them to keep themselves in the top 2? A lot of people were saying no, and their form was one win in 5 before COVID hit. But they'll be hoping that their strikers can lead from the front. They've got a array of goals in that side. Michael Smith's done it before. Ladapo sadly comes in from Doncaster, doesn't he? And he adds some goals to the side as well. Matt Crooks will be looking to add to his 9, came off the bench and scored at Salford. That last-minute goal. So, I think Rotherham will stay out this season, and I think Wycombe will go down. But this weekend, I think the momentum will probably be with Wycombe, and I think they could have a good start. They need a good start to have a good fight of things in this division, and I think they will get 3 points this weekend against Rotherham United. Heading to League One then. And the top of that list is Accrington Stanley versus Peterborough United. The Posh of Accrington have met each other 8 times. Peterborough winning 6 times in the Football League, and they've definitely won the last 3. 2-0 in this fixture last season, 4-0 and 4-0 is the last 3 games they've played against each other. However, Accrington will be buoyed on from their 7-0 win over Leeds under-21s in the EFL Trophy. Crewe Alexandra host Charlton Athletic. These two have met 4 times before in their history. Charlton have won all 4. 2 leagues apart last season. How will that turn out this weekend? Doncaster host MK Dons. 2 wins in 12 for the MK against Doncaster, all at League One level. They have met each other. Doncaster beating MK Dons 1-0 in the last match together. Fleetwood Town host Burton Albion. Burton won the last 2 times these 2 teams met. However, in this fixture last year, Fleetwood beat Burton 4-1 at Highbury to give them a resounding victory. They'll be hoping for more of the same this year. Gillingham versus Hull. This is the first time these two have met since 1985, and every meeting they have made has been in the old Division 3, which is now League 2. Gillingham, if anything to go by, back in 1985, won this 1-0, but fortunes are very much different since them days. Lincoln host Oxford United. Who can forget last time Oxford went to Sincil Bank? 6-0 they won last season in League One when they visited Lincoln, and they also won 1-0 in the fixture since then. In fact, they've won the last 3 against the Imps. Northampton play Wimbledon. 1 win for Wimbledon in 14. They did that on their last visit here, though. So 1-0 win at Northampton last time they played each other. But that was their first win out of the whole 14 times they have played each other. Plymouth face Blackpool. Blackpool unbeaten in the last 5 times they've played Plymouth, and they've won their last 5 visits to Home Park, so they certainly like this ground. Plymouth will be hoping that buck can trend this weekend. Portsmouth, they host Shrewsbury Town. Pompey unbeaten throughout the whole of the League One season in the league last year, albeit was only part played. However, Shrewsbury have won 6 of the last meetings against Pompey, and these two met on the opening day last season. Reversal, Pompey were away. It was 1-0 Shrewsbury. However, Pompey beat Shrewsbury 2-0 at Fratton Park last season. Sunderland versus Bristol Rovers, and Sunderland hit 8 last night. Again, they beat Aston Villa under-21s. And they've never lost a home game against Bristol Rovers, so everything points to Sunderland this weekend. Rovers, they beat Sunderland in March, but that was their first win in 8 against the Black Cats, and Sunderland definitely have a formidable home record against the Pirates. One Sunday game in this division is Ipswich Town at Portman Road hosting Wigan Athletic. Ipswich not lost in their last 6 against Wigan, drew 1-1 last time these 2 teams met. Ipswich won the previous 3 above that, but are unbeaten in 6. Our in-depth and look into League One takes us to Swindon. Swindon Town host Rochdale. 2 sides we've tipped to struggle next season. Swindon, champions last year of League 2, and we'll be looking for very, very strong home form this season to get that survival going. Since we did predict Swindon to go down, they have added to the ranks. Brett Pittman comes in, who knows all about this division with Portsmouth and with Bournemouth before. Played higher levels and definitely capable. If they give him chances, Pittman will score a bucket load of goals for Swindon this season. So that is a very, very strong signing. They're looking to add 2 or 3 more as well. So providing they are of enough quality, it's a very good shout that Swindon will be okay next season. Last time these 2 teams met was back in 2016. Rochdale winning 4-0. But Rochdale have only won 2 of the last two league games out of the last 18 against Swindon Town. So certainly Swindon are a bit of a bogey team for Rochdale, even with that 4-0 reversal last time they met. 1 defeat in 10 league games at home for Swindon. They lost last week in the Carabao Cup, didn't they? They lost 3-1 to Charlton. Wasn't a good start, but they're touching base and getting used to playing against quality opposition a league above, and Charlton were a championship side the year before. Rochdale, they've had a very good start to the season, haven't they? Won 1-0 at Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup, ironically in a game that was due to be played at Rochdale, but their pitch wasn't ready, so they reversed it to Huddersfield and they ended up winning anyway. And then they won against Morecambe in midweek in the EFL Trophy. A last-minute goal by John Newby secured the points on the board in the trophy, and he'll be hoping for a good start since his summer move from Chorley, but that certainly is very good. It's the first year they've not had Henderson banging in goals for them this year, Rochdale, though, and they're going to need to find someone who's got a decent pedigree of goals. They won away last season in the first game, and that was against another newly promoted side. They won at Tranmere, so can they repeat it this weekend? I'm not too sure how to call this, and I'd probably go for a score draw between these two. I think Rochdale had a decent start to the season, 2 away wins, one against a higher opposition and one against a lower. And Swindon will be looking to find their feet with a kind of a new attack this year. So I'm going to go for a score draw with these two for this weekend. And last but not least, we head to League Two. A few new faces in this for this season, starting at Barrow against Stevenage Borough to kick off League Two. Two sides who will be thankful there's no penalty shootouts at the end of this match. Barrow have played 2 games so far this season, both 0-0, both defeats on penalties. However, you look at it and, they lost to Derby and Blackpool, 2 teams above them in the league pyramid. And that shows the character that Barrow probably have in that squad. They will not take any negatives from those 2 games, only positives moving forward. Stevenage Borough, on the other hand, let a 3-1 lead slip against League One Portsmouth, and they lost on penalties as well. Both teams, it's their first league meeting, and they met last in the National League. Stevenage 4-0 winners. That would be interesting, and I'll definitely be staying away from betting against any of these 2 sides on the opening weekend. Bolton Wanderers then start League Two against Forest Green Rovers. It's their first ever fixture between these 2 sides. Bolton lost to Bradford 2-1 in the Cup, and Forest Green will be hoping that continues this weekend. Forest Green are a bit of a dark horse when it comes to League Two football. They always seem to be there punching, trying to get themselves there. I reckon be a bit more of a mid-table for Forest Green. However, one thing Bolton have got to get used to this season is that every team will look at them as their final, and they will always try and take points off Bolton. And Bolton have got a new squad, and Ian Evatt, had a slow start at Barrow when he first took there, so they need to stay patient. Because if he can replicate the things he did at Barrow, then Bolton will do okay this year. But it's not going to be plain sailing for that side, that's for sure. Bradford City, well, they host Colchester United, 1 win in 12 against these 2, 0-0 last time these 2 met. Cambridge United host Carlisle United. Carlisle won here last season in this fixture, and one massive thing about this game is there going to be supporters, touch wood, regarding the government update that's going to be coming this week. There's going to be supporters in the pilot event for Cambridge United versus Carlisle, and that can only be positive. We can't wait to get fans back in the grounds. Certainly isn't the same game watching it on TV without them. But that's there, and Carlisle not lost in this game since a 5-0 defeat in 2014, so they do have some form going to this against Cambridge United. Cheltenham, they host Morecambe. They won this fixture 2-1 last year. Morecambe have had a pretty strong start to the season, winning in the doing pretty well in both cup competitions. Definitely not being made fools of, that's for sure. Mansfield host Tranmere Rovers. 80 times these 2 teams have met. Tranmere with 33 of those victories. Last time out, 3-0 win to Mansfield. Last time these 2 teams met. Oldham play Leyton Orient, both draws when they met each other last year, and Harry Kewell will be hoping to get some 3 points as he looks for attacking football. Orient, one of our favourites for the drop this year, so can they have a good start? Port Vale versus Crawley. Every fixture these 2 have played has been in this division in League 2. Crawley not won in 3 matches against Vale and not even scored in any of them games. Port Vale winning 2. August 2018, last time at Vale Park, they got 3 points. Salford, they host Exeter. Only one previous meeting. That was last season. Exeter winning that 1-0 away at Salford. Ryan Bowman's goal. Scunthorpe United, they play Newport, lost to Port Vale 2-1. That's a bit of a dodgy start for them in the Cup. Newport unbeaten in 5 in this fixture, beat Swansea in the Cup. They'll be buoyed on and looking for good things from this. Beat Scunthorpe 2-1 on both last 2 previous occasions. And Walsall, they host Grimsby. Grimsby will be hoping for 3 points, and Ian Holloway will be hoping he can get 3 points. 3-1 winners at the Bescott last season, and Walsall will be hoping to reverse that this weekend. But what we're focusing on is Southend United versus the new boys Harrogate Town. No previous meeting between these two sides in the league, and that is because Harrogate have never been at this level before. Harrogate entered this division having beat Notts County 3-1 in the playoffs to get here. Very much underdogs that day, but Harrogate play very good football. One thing they got to get used to this year is not being on that plastic pitch. That's getting re-turfed, and they will be ground sharing at the start of the season, but they won't need to worry about that on the first weekend because they are away against a side that just come down from League One. Absolute woeful, weren't they, Southend last season? Really were. Kevin Bond just didn't last long whatsoever. Sol Campbell came in, nothing got better. He ended up going. Whether that was right or wrong, it remains to be seen. But Mark Molesley comes in, the man from Weymouth who guided them to promotion from the National South to the National League. It's a new era. Molesley likes to play some good football, and they'll be hoping for a better start from last season. Southend United lost 7 of their first 8 matches and only 2 home wins in the whole season. Can they half that in the first game this year? They've got a good relationship up front, I think, and with Brandon Goodship and Charlie Cowman. Will these two be the strike partnerships for them? Well, they did start in the cup last week when they lost. Will he keep with them this weekend? I think there's goals in both of them, and I think Goodship's a good shout for some goals this year. He definitely knows where the goal is. And previously, been in non-league level. Molesley will be hoping to give him a chance. Harrogate, though, they won the first 5 league games last season. They're certainly going to need to start better than that at this level. They won't want to be cut adrift straight away. I think they will struggle next season, but I think they've got enough to stay up with the manager and the squad. Their first ever league meeting being a league club was the League Cup last week, and that ended up being a result. Beat Tranmere on penalties, so that will give them a bit of confidence that they can mix it with the side above them, especially with Tranmere League One side last year. But they're unbeaten in their last 5 if you count the league games. At the end of last season. But I think Southend need a good start. Potentially, there could be, a narrow 1-0 maybe for Southend, but we're going to sit on the fence again on this one, I think. I think a draw for Harrogate's first ever league game away at Southend. So there we go, guys. That is our preview for the weekend of September the 11th to 14th. Yes, where did August go? But that is it. The start of the season starts now. The league season starts, especially for the top 4 divisions in England. These are our top bets for this weekend. 5 things I like this weekend. Win for Nottingham Forest, a win for Fleetwood Town. Both teams to score between Bolton and Forest Green. Sunderland to win and over 2.5 match goals. And Millwall versus Stoke under 2.5. You can grab that for around 43 to 1. Remember to bet responsibly, but that is just something a little bit of fun for this weekend. But, whatever happens, we just want to get the fans back in as quick as possible. It's not the same without it. But again, thank you very much for watching. We'll do more of these previews as well as reviews and looking in depth coming up soon. Prediction leagues for the National League, so we do not miss out on them as well. But have a great weekend. If your team is playing this weekend, hit that like button. Hit that like button if you think your team will win. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on further videos. Have a great weekend. Keep it safe and bring back the footy. Get in.